Alright, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about the space between us? Stick around and find out. Somebody save me! Lend a warm hand, something to say. I don't know, I was trying to come up with something that would be like sci-fi / teenage CW-ish romance. That's the best I had. Hi, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of The Space Between Us. The synopsis at IMDb reads, the first human born on... Is my thing working? I didn't test that. The first human born on Mars travels to Earth for the first time, experiencing the wonders of the planet through fresh eyes. He embarks on an adventure with a street-smart girl to discover how he came to be. Alright, so this is, I would describe this as a young adult sci-fi romance / drama. Gardner Elliott is the main character. He's a 16-year-old boy and is driven to reach Earth so he can experience all the things he's missed while being raised on Mars by a bunch of scientists. Things that he's missed like romantic and parental love. Those are probably the two things driving him to get to Earth most. He's primarily wanting to reach the girl he's been kind of texting and emailing, and she doesn't know he's from Mars. He's kind of been pretending he's from New York. But secondarily, he also wants to meet his father, although that secondary motivation is really downplayed, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. The scenes with the adult actors in the mix had a more serious and dramatic feel to them. I don't know if that was technically something happening in the script or just something they were doing with their performances more. Scenes that were focused on the two main teenage characters have lots of what I would call like Disney logic. You know, they felt to me like scenes from kids movies that Disney used to make, where kids are empowered and adults are buffoons, you know, and the kids are a little bit more clever than they really should be. And again, that's just like a touch of that. I don't want to say it was full on that kind of feel, certainly not. But it just, like, the dialogue felt a little like script dialogue as opposed to how real people talk. There was just something that wasn't reading true to me in a lot of those scenes. And then in general, I thought that dialogue, character choices, and basic plot points lacked logic really throughout the movie in subtle ways, but just in numerous ways as well. Gardner is only selectively new to Earth culture, it seems, using common words and phrases like rockin', you know, like, well, hey, I'm cool, I'm rocking this Earth gravity, you know, or he'll say, I know, right? You know, which is kind of a little phrase that's popped up in the last 10 years, probably in American pop culture. And yet he'll be totally befuddled by other basic slang, you know, like taking the word suck literally when his kind of girlfriend, love interest, you know, says something sucks. She's like, I'm sorry that things are, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was clear that he was like taking literally her use of the word suck, you know, and I'm like, suck has been around forever. Why are you saying I know right, but like taking suck literally? So there was these weird inconsistencies. He apparently, you know, had little to no exposure to Earth culture, which strikes me just from the get-go as totally unrealistic, as the scientists that were traveling to and from Mars throughout his life were bringing evidently like old movies, like really old movies, like maybe even silent era movies. I guess that's the only things they brought with them to share with him of Earth culture, but apparently not bringing any modern music or modern movies or video games or board games or any other kind of entertainment really to share with Gardner. There are so many what I think are these small logical inconsistencies littered throughout the story and the dialogue, to the point that after the opening act, I lost nearly all investment in the characters and the story. You know, I can't feel tense about potential risks or hope for potential victories if I just feel like the writers can do whatever they want without logical justification. I'm just like, okay, I guess the writers wanted this to happen now. You know, I'm just kind of like along for the ride. That said, I was genuinely moved, almost to the point of tears, by a father-son moment near the end of the movie, which made me wish wish that they had built up Gardner's father-seeking motivation more. Now, granted, I'm a sucker for a father-son story. That has always been something that's touched me more in fiction than other types of stories. So I mean, take that into account. But they do give a nice payoff to his quest to find his dad at the end, and almost as if, it's weird because it's almost as if it was the primary motive for coming to Earth. Like him connecting with his father is like the kind of victory condition, if you will, that lets us know that this is a happy ending, you know? So it was weird that like that was what they were presenting as, this is the happy ending. At least that's how I felt it was being presented. But it didn't pay off as strongly for me as I think it might have had they given more than comparative lip service to that subplot, you know, when compared to the time spent on the young adult romance plot. Okay, as far as the performances go, really nice performances from actors Gary Oldman and from Carla Gugino, I think that's how you say her name, actors I've seen in a number of movies before. Asa Butterfield, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his first name, but he plays the main character, the 16-year-old Gardner, and he is in that strange space between child and adult actor, I think, where kind of being frozen and wide-eyed can sometimes read to me like actually being a little wooden. Most of the time now, it worked for his character and circumstances, so it's not that I'm like, you know, oh, he should have been totally different, because this character is kind of wide-eyed and paralyzed as he's kind of experiencing Earth culture for the first time. But there were a few times still that I wanted a performance with more subtext and complexity, and I don't know if he could have given that to us or not. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of what he does as an actor in his next few movies. Let's see here. Stunts and visuals, not much to speak of. The effects are nice, and they hide the CG moments pretty well, using CG largely just for backgrounds, buildings, and space vehicles. There's some anti-gravity scenes where they were, I guess they were either filmed in like one of those free fall planes like they used when they did the famous scenes from Apollo 13. Or maybe they figured out a way to make wires just kind of look better as people hang on them for these kinds of scenes. I don't know, but I thought that the anti-gravity stuff worked pretty well. Let's see here. I always try to ask myself when I watch a movie or play a game, is there anything of a moral, spiritual, or philosophical significance that might stimulate worthwhile thought or conversation as a result of enjoying this experience? Or taking part in this experience, whether you enjoyed it or not, I guess. And a few things popped out to me. Given the young ages of the characters, who were stated to definitely be 16, and maybe if you kind of do some plot math, you could say, oh, they might be 17 by this point, but that I don't remember that ever being made clear to me. It seemed to me that both characters were meant to be 16 years old. So given their young ages, I was hoping to see a story of sweet, young, probing love, similar to Asa Butterfield's character's romance in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, where the romance is innocent and timid, and it doesn't get hot and heavy, you know. And now there was some of that innocence and sweetness here as they kind of explored this relationship, but I was bummed that these two 16-year-old characters actually end up having sex, unless they were just innocently sharing a sleeping bag without shirts on. But it's certainly implied, I think. The most common age of consent in the United States is 16, but many states, including California, have 18 as their age of consent. So sex at 16 seems like a strange thing to kind of idealize given the mixed laws of consent in the U.S. Now, legal issues aside, I'm actually more bummed that sex is being included in a story about very young and budding romance. I think that we set high schoolers up for pain and scarring when we imply that sex at such a young age is not a big deal, or that it can so easily be this beautiful and romantic thing at such a young age. Now, something good the movie says is in a moment when Gardner's love interest is ranting in outrage over what she believes is a lie, when Gardner tells her that he's from Mars. And Gardner replies to this by saying, just because something sounds crazy doesn't mean it's not true. And I think this unintentionally mirrors the very heated and emotional reactions that many have to the truth claims of Jesus and the Bible, or the ways that Christians might react when they hear something that's counter to their particular theology. But I think all of us need to train ourselves to keep cool, not be pridefully dismissive, and truly hear out and then investigate truth claims that may seem unbelievable, and let the evidence, not our feelings, persuade us regarding what is really true. Finally, although parental and authority figures are portrayed as flawed in this movie, again, that's some of that little Disney kids movie flavor in there. So they also turn out, though, to be right when warning Gardner about the concerns they have for him and his health, which I think serves as a good reminder that although we naturally hate and rebel against the authorities in our lives, it's wise to at least listen to and carefully consider the words of those who are older and more experienced than us, even if they've shown themselves to be wrong now and then. All right, now I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, so I guess if I were to go back in time and talk to myself, I'd say, Pater, skip, boring. If you want space drama / romance, go watch Passengers again. That was a great space drama romance with a little bit of suspense and stuff too. For all the itches that you thought this one was going to scratch, go watch Passengers again instead, or just wait a few weeks when it's out on Blu-ray or whenever it's coming out. This one is rated PG-13 for brief sensuality and language. All right, those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Friday, February 10th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to be having a Conflicted Game live stream right here on this channel, playing games that are very difficult and frustrating for me and beating my head against the wall the entire time. So if that sounds enjoyable to you, you sick person, you can tune in next Friday, February 10th from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific. Visit spiritblade.com to see the kinds of audio dramas and podcasts and stuff that we have there for you. And like, share, and subscribe if you like this video, want to share it with others, and want more videos like it. Lastly, boom, there's a ton more content and community at christiangeekcentral.com, so I hope you join us there soon as we continue, where is the button, to geek out and seek the truth.